A day in the life of an Apache child. Morning Star, a beautiful Apache girl, lived with her family in a small grass-covered hut called a wickiup. Their camp, with only 8 huts, was near water and well hidden among the pinyon trees, where it was safe from enemy attack. The 2 center wickiups belonged to the camp chief, who was the oldest and most skillful hunter. Everyone in the camp was related. Morning Star's people moved often to new campsites. Usually they moved when the season changed or when they had eaten all the wild plants from the nearby hills. Today was moving day. Their new campsite was 1 day's travel away. The old shaman, or medicine man, predicted that moving there would bring good luck. After a morning meal of deer meat and vegetables, all the women and their daughters started packing the household goods in bundles. Because their wickiups were so weather-beaten, they would not take them to the new camp. When the huts were empty, the women pulled them apart and dragged the grass and poles away. They felt that it was bad luck to leave an old campsite still standing. Once at their new camp, Morning Star and her mother could build a new wickiup in a few hours. The group walked slowly along the mountain slopes. The women and girls carried the household goods. Some also carried babies and cradle boards on their backs. The men carried only weapons as they kept a watchful eye out for enemies. In the warm spring sun, the men and boys wore only breechcloth, and the women and girls only skirts. They all wore knee-length moccasins to protect them from the thorny plants, rocks, and snakes. And, in spite of the heat, they wore their thick, straight black hair long and loose. They rarely braided it or pulled it back. As she walked, Morning Star saw signs of spring all around. The hills were covered with pink and white yucca plants in bloom. Other kinds of cactus plants with yellow and red flowers added splashes of color to the journey. In the weeks to come, Morning Star and her mother would use these flowers to make dyes for painting their baskets. Morning Star looked forward to the fresh food that spring always brought. First, she helped her mother harvest the yucca plant. The tender stalks could be roasted or steamed over a large fire in a deep pit filled with stones. Some of the steamed food would be dried, wrapped in animal skins, and stored in baskets until the cold season, when food was scarce. Morning Star's favorite chore was making berry cakes. To make these treats, strawberries or raspberries were pounded into cakes and dried in the sun. Then, the berry juice was poured over the cakes and, as they dried, a sugary coating formed. These fruit cakes lasted a long time without spoiling. After walking for what seemed like hours, Morning Star was happy that the group was stopping to eat and drink. In the shade of a canyon, everyone sat down to rest. The adults crouched down by the stream and splashed cool water on their faces. Some of the younger children jumped right into the water. Morning Star was content just watching the little ones. She knew that in a short time the march would start again. She would need all her energy to finish the journey to her new home.